the Baofeng UV-5RM Plus. More power, more bands, but is that a plus? Up next on the Higgins Report. Welcome to the Higgins Report. I'm Mike Higgins reporting, and here's my report. First things first. At the time of this recording, the Baofeng UV-5RM Plus is available for $28.99 US dollars. I start with this because I believe price is probably the number one reason you might be considering this Baofeng radio. But you don't want a complete piece of junk. So, let's have a look here. What's my first impressions on the build quality before we take a look at the elephant in the room? All right. First things, it looks like you got your standard Baofeng flexible antenna. Seems like a solid volume knob slash power switch. The clicky buttons I actually honestly feel a little cheap. Well, this is cheap. The only one that really annoys me is the push to talk. If you can hear that. Kind of sticks out the side here, and it's very easy to bump. This could be a bump to talk instead of a push to talk. But I mean, it's functional. It's just a little too easy for my blood to push. Of course, it has, being the Plus, you have USB charging on the back, which I really like. The only compromise is now, at least the one I was sent, doesn't include a charging cradle. You have to plug it into USB-C. You still have the contacts on the battery here if you have a charging cradle, but you will have to provide your own. I keep telling myself, Mike, it's only 28 bucks. So, let's power it on and have a look. Now you can see that flash there. I've already had my way with this thing and put a custom boot image on it. I've also programmed some local repeaters into it. And I have my All-Star node programmed into it. It's a, I would say, decent enough looking display. I know that a lot of people are critical of the red. Let's see if I can zoom in here so you can see why they are critical. The menu button, the menu fonts are red, and they are somewhat difficult to read. Now indoors, actually, I mean, it doesn't look that great on the camera, but I can tell you looking at it indoors, I actually think it's fine. But outside, well, it sucks. And I have not seen a way to change this, but as long as you're not going into it, I think when you're outside, you're probably really not going to have a problem with that. So it comes with a 2500 milliamp hour battery and a belt clip that I have not installed. As far as programming, so far I have only used Chirp with it. I also have a Baofeng UV-5RM Plus, and I simply selected the UV-17 Pro in Chirp and loaded up the file that I had already created for the UV-17 Plus and just wrote it to this UV-5RM Plus, and it worked just fine. I like to save time. I'm incredibly efficient / lazy. As far as operation is true to the Baofeng experience. Not too many new brain cells required operation to operate. Now, the elephant in the room. Mike, it's a Chinese radio. It's cheap. What about the spurious emissions? They're all dirty. I'll assume you've watched enough YouTube videos so that I won't have to go into detail on my setup. So we're just going to take a look at the difference between the first harmonic, the fundamental frequency. In this case, we'll start with 146.52 megahertz, and the second harmonic, 293.04 megahertz. You might be surprised. Let's have a look. All right, here we go. It looks like on the fundamental frequency, we are coming in at 146. It shows 0.5. It's bouncing back and forth, basically due to the limited number of data points here on our scan. But I am measuring between minus 8.75 and 8.25 dBm on the second harmonic at approximately 293 megahertz. We are coming in at minus 19.5 dBm. So there you only got, what is that, minus 11 dBm from the fundamental on the second harmonic. Ay. What are we on the third harmonic? And 439.86 megahertz, we are at approximately minus 48 dBm. So we are about minus 40 dBm on the third harmonic. Now that would be all right. Maybe if that was the second harmonic, I don't know. It's still questionable. So let's take a look at how it performs on UHF. All right, let's take a look and see what we get here. You can see here my fundamental, my first harmonic is being measured at 440 here, 0.04. Again, it's due to the spacing of the scan points. And I am measuring at minus 9 dBm. Over here is my second harmonic at 880.4. And it looks like that's coming in at minus 62. So that's about what, 50 or so dBm less than the fundamental frequency. Much better on UHF. I started out this video with a reminder. This is only around a $30 radio. $30 doesn't get you much these days, but it'll get you this radio. Honestly, I will admit, this is my selfishness showing. I personally don't get totally turned off with an output like this, and I'll tell you why. I really have a bigger problem with the receiver in these radios. Call me old school, but I prefer a super heterodyne receiver. I know SDR is the wave of the future, and when properly implemented with front-end filters and preamps, etc., they can be amazing. You want amazing for 30 bucks? Keep dreaming. Now, I haven't directly tested this receiver with a signal generator. I'm sure someone here on YouTube has. And honestly, I'm a little lazy. It's like doing a video trying to convince you the sky is blue on a clear day. So this radio will be deaf in certain environments. It'll suffer from front end overload. But Mike, I can get a better antenna. With what? More gain? Do you understand what front end overload is? Anyway, I'm not going to get into a preaching session here. Thou can transmit. Thou can receive. I use this radio and radios like this for local, and I mean very local, repeater use. I also use them to have radios around my house, around my property, for either crossband repeat into other radios or for my All-Star node. I will say, I have had some very good signal reports from this radio through my All-Star node. Now the price can't be beat. The performance of the radio can be beat for a price. That concludes this Higgins report. I've reported my report. 73s for now, and be safe.